Blah.
I'm just trying to do what's right for my brother and his band.
When I like take inventory of the stuff that you've done, your brother never got a chance to write a book. It was not possible for him to write a book because he passed away.
Well, he could have written one before he passed away.
Yeah, but like nothing came out. All the other Ramones have a book. It's like it makes sense that there
Tommy
is.
didn't have a book.
Tommy didn't have a book, actually. That's
Dee
right.
Dee's
Tom.
books are, they're kind of
He's spacey, but well, no,
they're fiction.
his one book is his account written in his words, right? Of how he saw things, whether fiction or not. And, he at least got to put something out.
Right.
Johnny put something out, and
Not too sure about that, but
well, Johnny had something written. Johnny had something
he
written.
did interviews that were supposed to be transcribed, and that's how that book was supposed to be done. But the original person he was doing that with, there was some kind of issue, and that didn't happen. I mean, that's why the book came out, like 7, 8 years after he passed away.
Henry Rollins had a
Henry
hand
Rollins wound
Didn't
up.
he do something with the book? He was doing something with the book.
He edited it.
He was the editor. He was the editor.
So here's Henry Rollins deciding what Johnny's going to be saying, basically, right? Or Linda and Henry.
Huh.
There's all this interview material. Somebody has to decide, just like when I wrote my book. There were interviews. Sure. I had to decide what part of it you're going to print, right?
Yeah.
Well, Johnny obviously couldn't make that decision.
No, he could not.
So Linda and Henry Rollins made that decision. And there's a few funny things, but this one funny thing. When I put out my brother's second solo album,
yeah,
Henry Rollins did this piece in the LA Weekly, like ripping me to shreds. For the headline is "Joey Ramone's legacy is in danger," and then he goes on about how I put this album out after he died, and how do I know what he would have wanted on it exactly? And I'm saying, holy shit, this guy is deciding what Johnny's going to say, right? And he's getting on my case, finishing with Ed Stasium, one of his best friends and a producer of many Ramones albums.
Yeah, I know Ed. I don't know him, but I know of him, of course.
Right. So it was in good hands, but he's going off in this article about how do I know what Joey would have wanted? Again, Johnny would have wanted.
Yeah, but you want to know something? Again, part of my statement that I would made as we're going into this sort of subject matter is that like the things that you've done, I mean, you essentially are, the arbiter of your brother's legacy, and your brother is the type of public figure that needs his legacy looked after. And the two things you've done, you took some of his material that initially was not, was
we don't know that
out, whatever.
Jeff. I mean,
you don't know that.
He was not finished with that first solo album.
Right, but meaning that I read somewhere that those were songs that he didn't want, that he initially was not going to leave on the thing or something.
We don't know. He might have decided to take one of those off and put one of the other ones in.
Either which way, it's an inconsequential point.
You've seen those articles, Joe. Those are the songs. How dare he put that stuff out? That's what the stuff Joey didn't want out.
Right. That's
why would he even make demos of those songs if he didn't like them at all?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, listen, I'll be honest with you, Mickey. When that did originally come out, I had read some of those articles and I was like on that bandwagon of like, yeah, right. what the hell? But I've come around, and here's why I came around. I came around because at the end of the day, it's inconsequential. Joey Ramone isn't here anymore, and there are people that want to hear Joey Ramone's music. And why should it not be out? Like, why should it be kept from, it's like, what good does it do sitting in a closet as opposed to being out there in the world?
My justification is I believe he would have done the same for me if it was the other way around.
So there you go.
Demos I haven't finished. Maybe if he would have done that and made sure they sounded great.
Either which way, I think it's a valid posthumous release, considering the fact that he's not around. He can't make any more music, and there's music that's just sitting around, not being in people's ears.
Right.
And ultimately,
they're great songs. New York City. There's a song "Waiting for That Railroad" that make people love it.
At the
His
end of the
fans
day,
love it.
yes. And at the end of the day, you are choosing to memorialize your brother how you want to memorialize him. And that makes sense. I came around after a while. I came around
Good,
on
I'm
that.
glad.
I can appreciate that. I really do. I can appreciate that.
Good.
And now people came to you and were like, hey, we want to turn the book that you wrote about your brother. Again, your brother did not get to write a biography. So this is the next closest thing that we're going to get to. And mind you, I don't think anybody's really written a book about Joey Ramone outside of your book. Are any other Joey Ramone books been written?
Not that I know of. I
Yeah.
don't think
So
there's any books about any of them individually.
not individually, collectively, yes, but
Right.
individually, no. So,
No.
that's why it's nice that, I mean, it's a crime that there's no book to represent Tommy, but that everybody else does have something that at least represents him. Whether it's Henry Rollins and Linda editing it or not, I am glad that there is a Commando book as opposed to nothing. I do want to hear Johnny's perspective, whether I agree with it or not. I want to hear what's interesting about reading all the different points of view, as you call Dee Dee's book fiction, and and Marky has his
Well,
book
it's
and stuff.
entertaining. I'm not
Entertaining,
saying
whatever.
yeah.
As Stephen King once said, when confronted with the myth or the truth, always go with the myth or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because it's more entertaining. It's interesting to see all of their different points of view about similar things from their own perspectives. And if you're able to sort of take that stuff in from that, within that context, with that grain of salt, it makes it interesting to
Yeah.
sort of read. You know what I mean?
I don't know. There's just things in John's book that I guess,
Sure. I'm
I,
sure.
I don't know if they put it in personal, intentionally to, to get a dig at me, but there's a passage in John's book where he talks about his first girlfriend.